Why does leadership development matter? You know, there are too many people in the world who have the wrong idea about whether they're leadership material or not. There are those who think they're not because they don't really like people, or they do like people and they don't like the idea of having to tell them off or hold them accountable or engage in any kind of conflict that would threaten their relationship or the harmony of their team. There are those who've tried leading people and failed epically. I'll share my story soon. Because people just won't do as they're told, or because it's easier to just do it yourself. Then there are those who think they're awesome at leadership, but their environment reflects otherwise. Maybe it's the leader who micromanages, or the one who directs and dictates around what they want, but doesn't actually support their team to help deliver it. Or even worse, they don't actually take their own advice and just come across as hypocritical. Or maybe it's the leader who works alongside their people, showing them how things are done, encouraging them to follow along with this, if it's good for me, then it's good for you philosophy. Or, you know, if I'm showing you that I can do the job, then surely you can do it too. And then wonders why they're left doing everything themselves as their team just idly watches from the viewing platform. Or perhaps it's the leader that completely friend zones their staff and won't have conversations that create any kind of discomfort. So there's no accountability and there's no growth and no progression, and eventually the business stagnates. And then there's those in the middle who haven't even considered leadership, who are blissfully unaware of the potential that exists and are quite happy for someone else to take the lead and step up. But what I've come to learn is that everyone is leadership material. In fact, I think that in today's workplace, that's what we should all be working towards. But the thing is, no one's ever just naturally amazing at leadership. We all have work to do. Regardless of your starting point, every single leader on the planet needs to develop in some way, shape, or form. I've spoken to hundreds of leaders over the past decade. I've interviewed handfuls of them for my Dynamic Leader podcast. And every single one of them has felt failure at some level. They've got things wrong and have had to adjust how they approach situations. They've had to change who they are as individuals. And the reality is, we're not fixed. Who we are today is not who we were 5 years ago. And it isn't who we're going to be in 5 years from now. And so when you can let go of the identity and acknowledge that evolution is inevitable, then you can also let go of this rigidity that often comes with the identity we create for ourselves. If I can share my own journey with you, I grew up on a dairy farm, and my mum or dad would wake me at 5 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows. Despite my protest and complaining that it was too tired or too cold and I really didn't want to do it, I was told just to get up and get on with it. And along with that, I went to a really small school where there were only 13 kids in my year level. And so I was also quite limited to my friendship circle, and often found that my personality would clash with those of my peers, and I would have this friction that would appear. I think naturally I was quite loving and adventurous, but I learnt to shut down my emotions and really just get on with life. And after years of being taunted by the kids around me and my own siblings, I think I built this pretty tough persona and identity that scared others and protected me. Now, fast forward this to my leadership role, and there was that, don't mess with me identity coming through in how I led, with my focus and driving my behaviors. And with my emotions locked so tight in this vault, I really only focused on delivering results and getting the job done at any cost. And while it worked for me to some degree in one role, it caused a complete meltdown of both myself and everyone around me in another role. And despite all of the signals and warnings that I was headed for destruction, I kept forging ahead, doing what I'd done when I was younger. The explosion of my reality came in the form of a petition that was signed by most of my team, followed by a first and final written warning for bullying and intimidation. And this completely broke me. It was followed by 3 years of struggling with who I was and trying to redeem myself and rebuild a reputation of someone who could succeed with everybody. And to this day, it's still the hardest lesson of my life. One that, had it not been for the amazing support network of those around me, would have permanently broken me. And my hardest lesson in life is the one thing that drives me to do the work that I do today. And that is to prevent other leaders from hitting the rock bottom that I did, and to be the support that those leaders need to help them recover if they've already hit rock bottom and they need to heal and to grow and become a better version of themselves and be stronger and more effective in their career and in their life. For me, leadership development matters. It is continual for all of us throughout our lives. If you assume that there's always something to learn, then you'll always improve. You'll remain relevant and you'll remain in the driver's seat of your future, where you get to decide who you want to be, how you want to show up, and the difference that you want to make in the world. Because whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, you are making a difference already. But when you own your development journey, you make sure that the difference that you're making is a positive one, and it's intentional, and it's not by accident. We are all leadership material. We all have work to do. The only question to answer now is where to begin. If you're not sure around where to begin, then please feel free to reach out for a chat at Shelley@shelleyflett.com. Have your support network around you. Take action. Thank you for listening.